Listen, let me tell you something. Everybody in here got a dream, got a purpose, got that thing deep inside you that keeps you awake at night. But here's the truth: dreams don't work unless you do. You can't sleepwalk through life and expect success to just fall in your lap. You got to wake up, take control, and decide this is the day you stop living in neutral. Stop hitting snooze on your life. Every time you put something off until tomorrow, every time you tell yourself you'll start next week, every time you let that little voice convince you that you're not ready yet, what you're really doing is delaying your destiny. You are pressing snooze on opportunities that may never come back again. Just like an alarm clock, when you keep hitting snooze, time doesn't stop. It just keeps moving, and eventually you run out of time. See, life doesn't wait for you to be ready. Life moves whether you move or not, and the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to catch up. You got to recognize that your time is now, not later, not someday, but right now. Some people live their whole lives in snooze mode. They got big dreams, big plans, big ideas, but they never push the button to start. They spend years saying, I'll do it when I save enough money, or I'll start when the kids get older, or I'll move on it when I feel more confident. Let me tell you something. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll wait forever. The perfect time does not exist. You create the right time by taking action, by stepping out in faith, by refusing to let fear sit in the driver's seat. The longer you wait, the more your dreams collect dust, and the more you start convincing yourself it's too late. That's the trap of snooze mode. It feels safe, it feels comfortable, but it robs you of everything you could be. The world is full of people who had talent but never used it, who had ideas but never chased them, who had gifts but never developed them. And you know what they did? They kept saying, I'll get to it tomorrow. Tomorrow is the most dangerous word in your vocabulary because it gives you permission to stay the same today. Tomorrow is the lie you tell yourself to avoid doing what you know you need to do right now. Tomorrow is the reason so many dreams never make it past the notebook they're written in. When you hit snooze, you give your future away to your fear, and fear will never build the life you want. Fear only builds regret. See, waking up isn't just about getting out of bed in the morning. It's about waking up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's about realizing you've been walking through life half asleep, letting days slip through your fingers like sand. It's about recognizing that every moment you waste is a moment you can't get back. Think about it. You've already lost days, weeks, maybe even years to hesitation, to procrastination, to waiting on conditions that were never going to be perfect. That should make you mad enough to stop waiting. That should light a fire in you to say, no more snooze buttons, no more delays, no more excuses. I'm moving now. Every great success story begins the same way. Somebody woke up. Somebody decided they were done sleeping on their potential. Somebody decided they weren't going to keep living on pause while the world kept playing. And you got the same choice. You got to decide if you're going to stay comfortable in bed with your excuses or if you're going to get up and put your feet on the floor of your destiny. Success doesn't come to the lazy. It doesn't come to the hesitant. It doesn't come to the ones who keep waiting for the alarm to ring just one more time. It comes to the ones who hear the call and say, I'm up, I'm ready, let's go. And let me be real with you. The snooze button feels good in the moment, but it always makes you late. The same thing happens in life. It feels good to say, I'll do it tomorrow. It feels good to say, I'll get serious when I have more time. But later on, you realize you're late to your own life. You're late to your calling, late to your breakthrough, late to the opportunity that could have changed everything. And some opportunities don't wait around. Some doors close and never open again. You think you're buying time by delaying, but really you're losing it. Every second wasted is a second you could have been building, growing, learning, moving forward. You got to stop hitting snooze on your life because your purpose is too important, your future is too valuable, and your time is too limited. Every day you wake up, you get another chance to move closer to the life you were created for, but the clock is ticking whether you move or not. Don't let the snooze button steal your future, because when you look back, you won't remember the mornings you stayed comfortable. You'll remember the moments you decided to rise, to push, to fight, to go after what you were put here to do. Break the habits holding you back. See, everybody got routines, everybody got patterns, everybody got things they do every single day without even thinking about it. But what most people don't realize is those habits are either building your future or breaking it down. Some of you wonder why you feel stuck, why nothing ever changes, why it feels like you keep running into the same wall over and over again. It's not bad luck. It's not the world being unfair. It's the habits you keep repeating. If you wake up every day doing the same thing you've always done, you're going to keep getting the same result you've always gotten. You can't expect a new life while holding on to old habits that no longer serve you. The truth is, the habits that are most comfortable are usually the ones that cost you the most. That late night scrolling, that procrastination, that constant doubt you feed yourself, those are not just little actions. Those are chains tying you down. You think they're harmless because they don't hurt in the moment, but slowly, day by day, they're keeping you from rising. A lot of people don't realize that discipline isn't about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do consistently. Success is built on small daily choices stacked on top of each other. If your daily habits are weak, your future is going to stay weak. If your daily habits are strong, your future is going to rise strong. You can't wish your way into change. You have to habit your way into change. Habits are powerful because they don't ask your permission. They run in the background like a program on your phone, draining the battery even when you're not looking. Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself repeating something you swore you were done with? That's the grip of habit. And the only way to break that grip is to replace it with something stronger. You can't just stop a habit and leave a hole. If you want to quit procrastinating, you got to replace it with planning and execution. If you want to stop doubting yourself, you got to replace it with affirmations and bold action. If you want to stop wasting time, you got to replace it with intentional focus. Habits are stubborn, but they're not permanent. You got the power to change them if you're willing to put in the work. Some of you are waiting for motivation to come, but let me tell you something. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is everything. Motivation is that spark you feel when you watch a video, read a quote, or hear a good speech. But discipline, that's the engine that keeps running long after the spark fades. Discipline is built on habits. You are not what you occasionally do, you are what you consistently do. If you consistently skip, you're going to keep missing. If you consistently delay, you're going to stay behind. If you consistently settle, you're going to stay average. But if you consistently commit, if you consistently grind, if you consistently push, then you're going to build momentum that nothing can stop. And let's be real, some habits you got right now were handed to you. You grew up watching people do things a certain way, and without realizing it, you copied those patterns. Maybe you saw people complain instead of create. Maybe you saw people settle instead of strive. Maybe you saw people quit every time it got tough. And now those habits are living in you. But just because you were born into it doesn't mean you have to stay in it. You are not required to repeat the cycle you were shown. You have the power to break it, to build new habits, to set a new standard for yourself and for everybody coming after you. Breaking habits isn't easy because your mind craves comfort. Your brain doesn't like change. It wants to do what it's always done because that feels safe. That's why you got to push yourself past the resistance. You got to be willing to be uncomfortable, to go against the grain of your old self, to force your mind to accept a new pattern. That's the only way growth happens. Growth and comfort can't live in the same place. If you want to grow, you got to be willing to let go of the habits that make you comfortable but keep you small. Change is uncomfortable, but so is regret, and only one of them moves you forward. Think about your life like a garden. If you keep letting weeds grow, they're going to choke out everything good you planted. That's exactly how bad habits work. They don't just sit there quietly, they slowly take over the ground meant for your greatness. Every bad habit you keep is stealing energy, stealing time, stealing focus from the habits that could grow your future. If you want to see new results, you got to do some pulling. You got to rip those weeds out and start planting habits that actually feed your destiny. Every day you choose your habits, and every day your habits choose your future. Believe bigger than your excuses. Excuses are the easiest thing in the world to make and the hardest thing in the world to get rid of. They sound good when you say them. They make you feel justified. They give you permission to stay the same. But here's the problem. Excuses don't change your life, excuses just keep you stuck where you are. Every time you tell yourself you can't because of your age, your background, your money, your circumstances, you're putting a ceiling on what's possible. You are shrinking your life down to the size of your excuses. The truth is, your excuses will always sound convincing until you decide to believe in something bigger than them. Some people spend their whole lives protecting their excuses like they're treasures, when in reality, those excuses are nothing but thieves. They steal time, they steal opportunities, they steal confidence. And the crazy part is, most excuses come from fear. Fear of failing, fear of looking foolish, fear of stepping outside what's comfortable. So instead of moving, instead of trying, instead of reaching, people build excuses to make staying small sound smart. But here's the thing. You can't live a big life with small excuses. You can't build a future on reasons why not. You gotta start believing in the possibility of what could happen if you gave it everything you had instead of everything you feared. Excuses are loud, but belief is louder if you let it be. When you start feeding your belief instead of feeding your doubts, everything shifts. Instead of saying, I can't because I don't have enough money, belief says, let me find a way to start with what I've got. Instead of saying, I can't because I don't have the connections, belief says, let me build my network one person at a time. Instead of saying, I can't because it's too late for me, belief says, if I still got breath, I still got time. Excuses limit, but belief expands. Excuses close doors, but belief kicks them open. The size of your belief determines the size of your life. And if your belief is smaller than your excuses, you'll always stay behind them. Sometimes people think belief is about ignoring reality, but it's not. Belief is about seeing reality, then choosing to see beyond it. Belief is about saying, yes, it's hard. Yes, I don't have all the answers. Yes, the odds might be against me, but I'm still going. You can acknowledge your challenges without bowing down to them. That's where people mess up. They confuse acknowledgement with acceptance. Acknowledgement is saying, I see the obstacle. Acceptance is saying, I can't get past it. Belief is saying, I see it, but I'm climbing over it anyway. The reason excuses feel powerful is because they let you off the hook. If you convince yourself you can't, then you don't have to try. If you convince yourself it's impossible, then you don't have to risk failing. That's the comfort zone talking, and the comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Belief demands more of you. Belief requires action. Belief says you don't get to sit still and hide. You gotta move, you gotta risk, you gotta grow. Belief doesn't promise easy, but it does promise possible. And possible is all you need if you're willing to push. Every great story you've ever heard started with somebody choosing belief over excuses. Somebody who had less money than you, less education than you, less opportunity than you, but they refused to let excuses be their final answer. They didn't deny their challenges, but they believed bigger than them. And that belief pushed them through every wall, every rejection, every failure, until eventually the excuses couldn't hold them anymore. That's the power of belief. It doesn't erase the struggle, it just makes you strong enough to outlast it. Excuses will always be there, whispering in your ear, reminding you of every reason you shouldn't even try. But belief is that voice that says, I hear all that, but I'm still going. And every time you choose belief, every time you choose to step past your excuse and move anyway, you build strength. You build momentum. You build a future that excuses could never give you. The bigger your belief, the smaller your excuses become, until one day you realize the only thing standing in your way was the story you kept telling yourself. Put action behind your vision. See, everybody got a vision of the life they want. Everybody can picture themselves driving the car, living in the house, running the business, standing on the stage, traveling the world. But the problem is, too many people stop at the picture. They see it in their head. They talk about it to their friends. They write it down in a notebook, but they never move on it. Vision without action is just imagination. And imagination doesn't pay bills. Imagination doesn't change lives. Imagination doesn't leave legacies. You got to be willing to turn what you see into what you do, because a dream with no effort attached is just a fantasy. The difference between dreamers and doers is movement. A dreamer talks about it. A doer gets up and works on it. A dreamer says one day, a doer says today. A dreamer waits for perfect conditions. A doer starts with what they've got. And let me tell you something, nothing kills a vision faster than waiting for it to feel easy. It's never going to feel easy. It's never going to feel convenient. It's never going to feel like the perfect time. The perfect time is when you decide to stop waiting. You don't need everything to be lined up to move. You just need to take the first step. One step creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress creates confidence, and confidence creates success. But none of that starts until you put some action behind that vision. Some of y'all been sitting on the same vision for years. You talk about the business you're going to start, you talk about the book you're going to write, you talk about the change you're going to make, but nothing's happening because talking ain't building. Faith without works is dead, and vision without effort is too. If you want to see your life change, you can't just speak it, you got to sweat it. You got to stay up late, wake up early, put in hours that nobody sees, grind when you don't feel like grinding, push when you don't feel like pushing. That's how visions turn into reality, through sweat, through sacrifice, through showing up even when it's hard. The thing about vision is, it's like a seed. You plant it in your mind, but if you never water it with effort, it'll never grow. Seeds don't become trees just because you think about them. They need sun, water, and time. Your vision needs action, discipline, and persistence. Every time you work on your dream, you're watering it. Every time you choose progress over procrastination, you're feeding it. Every time you show up when it would have been easier to quit, you're proving that you deserve it. The tree doesn't grow overnight, and neither will your dream. But if you keep putting in the work, eventually that seed is going to break the ground and show itself. And don't get it twisted. Action doesn't mean you'll always get it right the first time. Action means you're willing to fail forward, learn, adjust, and keep moving. Too many people let fear of failure paralyze them into doing nothing, when in reality, failure is just part of the process. Failure is proof that you're moving, proof that you're trying, proof that you're in the arena. Every successful person you admire has a history of mistakes, setbacks, and failures. But they didn't stop. They kept putting action behind their vision until the vision became stronger than the setbacks. The only real failure is doing nothing. Sometimes people confuse action with busyness. Being busy don't mean you're moving forward. You can run in circles all day and never leave the same spot. Action means intentional steps toward the goal. That means prioritizing, cutting out distractions, saying no to things that don't serve the vision. If you're serious about your dream, you can't afford to waste time on stuff that keeps you stuck. Action is focus. Action is discipline. Action is strategy. You don't just work hard, you work smart, and you work consistently until the results show up. Vision is the blueprint, but action is the builder. Without action, that blueprint never leaves the paper. Without action, your vision stays locked in your mind while your reality stays the same. You got to decide if you're satisfied with just seeing it in your head, or if you're ready to roll up your sleeves and make it real. The world doesn't need more people with ideas. It needs more people willing to do the work. And the beautiful part is, once you start putting action behind your vision, the world begins to shift, opportunities start to appear, doors start opening, and what once looked impossible starts to look inevitable. Discipline is the bridge to your destiny. See, talent will get you noticed, dreams will get you excited, but discipline is what's going to carry you across the finish line. Everybody loves the idea of success, but not everybody loves the routine that comes with it. Discipline is showing up on the days you don't feel like it, doing the work when nobody's watching, and pushing yourself past the point where most people quit. It's not glamorous, it's not always fun, but it's the foundation every great life is built on. Without discipline, your goals stay wishes, your plans stay empty, and your vision never leaves the paper. Discipline is what separates the ones who say they want it from the ones who actually get it. The truth is, discipline is freedom disguised as restriction. People think discipline means you're limiting yourself, but really, it means you're freeing yourself from the weight of regret. Every time you stick to your routine, every time you hold yourself accountable, every time you sacrifice a temporary pleasure for a long-term reward, you're building a life that pays you back later. Discipline is the thing that says, I don't need to feel like it, I just need to do it. You can't trust your feelings. They change too much. One day you're motivated, the next day you're tired, one day you're focused, the next day you're distracted. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up no matter what. If you look at the most successful people in the world, the ones who built something lasting, the ones who turned nothing into something, you'll find one thing in common. They were disciplined. They didn't always have the most talent. They didn't always have the best start, but they had the discipline to outwork everybody else. They weren't always the fastest, but they were consistent. Consistency beats intensity every time. You can go hard for a week, but if you can't keep going for a year, it won't matter. Discipline is consistency in action, and consistency is what compounds into greatness. Discipline is also the test of how bad you really want it. It's easy to say you want change, easy to talk about your goals, easy to post about your dreams. But when that alarm goes off at 5 a.m., when that workout feels heavy, when that business deal falls through, when you don't see results as fast as you want, discipline is what decides if you keep going. That's why discipline isn't just about habits, it's about character. It builds toughness, it builds patience, it builds resilience. It makes you the kind of person who doesn't just chase success, but can handle it when it comes.